There was a lot of disconnect between the two. I'm really sorry. I think Kamal Haasan's performance was the overall role. I thought maybe Kamal Haasan was not the right guy for the film. Maybe. Hey aliens, this is Rohit Rana. You're watching Leisure Martini, and I watched Vikram starring Kamal Haasan, Vijay SethuPathi, and Fahadh Faasil last night, directed by Lokesh Kannagaraj. Now I saw Kaithi a couple of, rather 3 weeks back, and then I watched Vikram. Kathy was just, I had an amazing time with Kathy. It was an edge of the seat thriller. It was full of thrilling moments, fierce moments, great acting, great action, great screenplay. It kept me, it kept the tension alive throughout its runtime. But do I feel the same way about Vikram? Okay, I am going to trigger a lot of fans here with what I am about to say in the rest of the video. But let me begin by rating the film. I usually do that at the end of the video, but I'll start the video by rating Vikram. My overall rating for Vikram would be 7 out of 10. Now, the first half of the film gets a solid 9 or maybe 8.7, 8.8 from me, the first half of Vikram. And the second half gets 5.5-ish or 5.6, 7-ish. And if you just round it off, it would be about 7 out of 10. That would be my rating for Vikram. For Kathy, it would be about 8.5 for the genre it was made in. So there are apparently some issues I have with it, the second half of Vikram. The first half was great. It played out like a very taut spy thriller film. There is Fahadh Faasil trying to track this man down, trying to prevent him from killing another person. This trying to track this group down. And I think most of the fans would have predicted quite early in the film that this guy is Kamal Haasan himself, because something may have happened in that scene where we see Kamal Haasan getting killed. I don't think it was a revelation for most of the fans of the film. So was the case with me. I was enjoying the film through and through, especially the investigative part, how Fahadh Faasil tracks each and every movement of Kamal Haasan from the past. He goes everywhere where Karnan used to go, and he spent time exactly the way Karnan was spending time. He went to the brothel, he went to the golf course, he went everywhere, he went to the gym, and it was quite refreshing the way he was investigating the whole thing, the way he was tracing the events of the past. I was very much into the movie throughout that whole scenario. And then we were introduced to the madly fierce character of Vijay SethuPathi, who played Santhanam in the film. Just about the best gangster, mob gangster kind of a guy you can find. He was, I think not just Vijay SethuPathi, everybody was perfectly cast. Fahadh Faasil, Vijay SethuPathi, Kamal Haasan of course. Though of the three, I would say Kamal Haasan was my least favorite, and Vijay and Fahadh they knocked it out of the park, totally. So in the department of acting, I have no complaints. Everybody was great. That maid was awesome, Agent Tina. so obviously a bunch of people we thought were insignificant in the scheme of things, they turned out to be agents. So all of that was great, but where I was thrown off a little was the starting was that much famed action scene right before the climax, who people have often compared with the action scene, the animals let loose action scene from RRR. I have seen polls on Twitter, people saying, what do you like more, the pre-interval scene in Vikram or the pre-interval scene in RRR? I have no idea why, because it was a dampener for me. Honestly, I watched this film with sky high expectations, and especially that scene. Throughout the film, I was looking forward to watching that scene, and it was a dampener. I was like, why? Why is this such a special scene? The build up to that scene, the whole tension around that scene is perfect. Perfect. But the scene itself, there was nothing that we haven't seen before. There is nothing that we haven't seen umpteen times before in that scene. The action was pretty ordinary. I mean, when I say ordinary, I'm not saying it wasn't, the hero wasn't flexible, he wasn't beating everyone, he wasn't very cool and all, but there was nothing creative about it. Everybody, they were like, I don't know, like he fought like 30-40 people at once, but everybody was coming to him one at a time on most occasions, one at a time, and yeah, there was some cool stunts and all, but no. Not just that, I mean, the action in the film is raw, it's chilling, it's brutal. I love that aspect. But I have, in reviews by critics or by fans, I have seen them comparing this action with RRR. I do not want to compare both the movies, but just because I have seen the comparison on internet, I would say the action in this film isn't anywhere in the vicinity of the action in RRR, especially in terms of creativity, especially in terms of how much new RRR did. The set pieces that RRR, the set pieces in this film are insane. They are incredibly big, but it's not. After a while, I mean, after a while, I just wanted the movie to end. I mean, the last showdown between Kamal Haasan and Vijay, between Santanam and Agent Vikram, it's epic. It's great. I mean, great choreography. Then there is that gun. There is the Tope. That was amazing. I liked that Tope aspect of it. But I think it dragged on. To me, the movie could have been at least 40 minutes shorter than what it was. It was what, 2 hours and 53 minutes, 2 hours and 55 minutes. I think they could have made it into a 2-hour movie, and that's about it. I think it would have been crisper. I think the movie could have been much better if it was a shorter film, because usually I don't have a problem with movies shifting tones. You know, you don't have to have a one-tone movie. So the first half was the spy thriller kind of a thing, investigating, and the second half is all-out action. The second half of the movie is a completely different film. But I was so engrossed in the first half, in how the scheme of things were in first half, how there was a lot of suspense in the first half. We really wanted to see how things are unraveling. But the second half just changed into this over-the-top action film that I was not expecting, especially after watching the first half. I was expecting an over-the-top action film before I started playing the film, but after I was done with the first half, I think that the tonal shift, I was not comfortable with that. You know, a movie like RRR, you know what you're signing up for. The movie maintains its tone for the entire runtime. It gets slower in the second half, but it's still an over-the-top action film. There is drama, there is everything, but it's equally distributed throughout its runtime. But not in Vikram. The second half is just over-the-top action film which has nothing in common with the first half, and I'm not sure I like that, because a section, the part of my brain that likes these spy thrillers, that one was activated in the first half, and suddenly that part of the brain got nothing to sink its teeth into in the second half, because suddenly we have a different movie altogether. That was not the case with Kathy. Kathy maintained its tone throughout the film. Kathy was the same film in the second half, or in the climax, or in the pre-climax, that it was in the first half of the film. I don't know why Vikram totally switched. Some people may have liked this aspect of the film. I did not. The only part I liked about was, yes, choreography was great. I love how the action was brutal and all of that. But it was too long. It was too long. It was too jarring. That is my biggest gripe. I think I have talked about the good aspects as well as the bad aspects. I won't go on and on. So the good were the acting. The first half was incredible. I loved it. Like I said, I would rate it almost 9 out of 10. Fahadh Faasil is my favorite from the 3. Kamal Haasan is my least favorite from the 3. Sometimes I felt Kamal Haasan's action scenes were not up to the bar. He did not look. I was watching Kamal Haasan in those action scenes was almost giving me those vibes that I felt when I was watching The Irishman, watching Robert De Niro in Irishman. He seemed out of place in that film. In a lot of occasions, he's supposed to be this 40-year-old guy, but he walks like an 80-year-old guy. That is what I felt in a lot of action scenes with Kamal Haasan. He did not look, he was not at all looking comfortable in his action scenes, even though he was doing insane stunts, but he just did not look comfortable. It was, I mean, what the movie wanted to show us and what I eventually could see, there was a lot of disconnect between the two. I'm really sorry. I think Kamal Haasan's performance was, the overall role, I thought maybe Kamal Haasan was not the right guy for the film. Maybe somebody of his age who is much fitter, who can do his stunts, or even if he's not doing his stunts himself, but who has a more agile, more athletic body language. Kamal Haasan's body language was not agile enough for the kind of role he was doing, and that is my biggest gripe. Apart from that, I have said what all I wanted to say. So I'm sorry if I have offended the Vikram fans, but those are my honest views. I cannot lie for views. So it is what it is.